Hello, World Wide Web. Welcome to Hangin' With the Authors. I'm G.W. Pomichter, and today we are hanging with Abigail Lee Justice, the romance author responsible for the Heart series. That's 2 books, Bound by Her Master and Second Chances, available now in the iBook store. So if you're watching this on the podcast, go ahead down there, go to the iBook store and buy some books, okay? And if you don't want to do that now, just wait a few minutes, wait till you talk to Abigail, and then you will want to do that. So, outstanding. Abigail, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Hi, how is everybody today?
Oh,
I'm
we're
so
good.
great.
We're good here. I hope everybody out there in the World Wide Web is doing good. And we were just talking as we got done. We had some technical difficulties as we got set up. So Abigail and I are far closer to our respective computers than we planned on being. So
we're in an intimate space right now.
This is a very intimate space. So we are really hanging with authors today. All right, so Abigail, tell us a little bit. First of all, tell us about your books and what's out there right now and that kind of thing.
Well, firstly, I have the Heart series that is an indie published by me, and I started out with Bound by Her Master. That's the first book in the series, and the second book is Second Chances. I don't want to give too much away from Bound by Her Master, but it leads off with a very, very naive young woman who is a cardiologist who has lost her husband. She's been through a 2-year bereavement period, and now she's looking at going out into the world for the first time in forever. And so she is left alone. She's depressed. She's working every day, but she's looking for something in her life, and that is possibly a man, it possibly could be a woman, it could be possibly a trio, and she's not sure what she wants yet. So with some enticement from some friends and relatives, she's actually encouraged to go out into the dating world, and she does it a little bit differently than what most women would do by going to a bar or just going out. She actually decides to go to a BDSM club. She knows that one of her best friends are into the BDSM world, but she does it alone. She doesn't do it with a group of people. So she ventures out a night out on the town by herself, and lo and behold, she finds someone that she really is interested in, and sparks fly just by first contact. And he happens to be the owner of the club, which she doesn't realize until she's introduced to the gentleman that he's a dom, he's a master, and he's the owner of a club. So after the initial meeting up, she realized that she has other issues, not just dealing with the bereavement of her husband, but she also has work issues, and she is dealing with possible gang member issues that are, going after her.
Okay, so this is a young cardiologist, and she's out experimenting. So I don't know if Dave's in the room or not, but maybe he should be careful because that's relatively self-descriptive, isn't it? Dave, you're not being killed off, are you?
Well, actually, this book it's not a true story. So no, D.L. McCleary is not being kicked off. But he was my muse. I will let you know that we are definitely in the lifestyle, and if people don't know what the lifestyle is, we are in a 24/7 relationship, a master-slave relationship. We do live the lifestyle to the fullest, and my books are written off of the premise of the lifestyle. I live it, so I figured why not write about it. And the cardiologist part is sort of true. To my point, because I do come from that field in my real everyday world. Besides being an author, I'm in the actual field of cardiology. So I took things that I knew to write about. Yes. And that's what I was, when I was being first mentored by a few authors that were well known, they said, write about things that you know. Write about things that are closest to you, and it'll make sense when you're writing it. So that's why I chose to write about the profession that I'm in. And with being in the lifestyle, it made it just much more easier to write about things that I knew were true to myself and to my community. So I'm a huge activist for women and being bold and strong in the lifestyle. My characters in my books are very, very courageous women that are, they're not just your dimwits that you find out on the road that, you know, they do have brains. We do work every day. We're smart women. We can actually live our lives being by ourselves. You know, we don't need, you know, that male figure or female figure, you know, bouncing off of us. But in my books, this person does need that. She does need that extra, you know, that extra glitch to get her through the day. And she does realize that after meeting this character and meeting her man of her choice.
Now, have you always written in some way, shape, or form, or is this kind of a new thing for you?
I actually did. I've actually published years ago. I started out writing cookbooks, which is kind of different. And I do have a cookbook here. This was my original cookbook. If you look at it, it has a picture of my church on it. And this was written back in 1992. This was the first one. Years later, when I had looked at this cookbook and said, wow, I need a change, I wrote the second cookbook. Okay. And this one actually, you know, came out a few years later. I think this one was actually published back in 2000. And it's had a couple additions, you know, and subtractions to the book. But yeah, I've always written different things. That's a pretty wide swing. It is, and you'll notice that a lot of authors do have multiple genres that they write in. Yes. I actually started out with writing poetry. Didn't like poetry, and all through high school and college, thought, you know, poetry was it.
Okay, well, we have about 30 seconds till we have to go to a short break. And then we'll be right back, and we're going to talk to Abigail Lee Justice some more about what she's working on and just life in general. So with that, I think I'm on a countdown here for about 10 seconds. I've just wasted 5 of them. Okay, so right about here, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back with Hanging with the Authors.
The Submit to Darkness series by indie author A.J. Spencer is now complete. This dark and twisted erotic thriller spans 3 books and follows FBI profiler Natasha Stolt as she hunts the serial killer known as Grimm. Will you become as obsessed with her prey as she does?
I think there's something that we all have in common. Something primal. Everyone wants to be seduced.
All we need is one night and an appetite.
I'm just saying it's natural. Take away social etiquette, it's just we seduce to survive. And I bet if you could spy in any room here right now, you see a seduction of some sort going down in everyone.
I promise, I'll be a perfect gentleman.
Darling, I do.
Are you trying to imply that I am questioning my sexuality? Aren't we all?
Women want a whole lot more than just to be seduced and then screwed and discarded by some chauvinistic douchebag with non-committal issues.
Don't you want to be with a guy who just wants to please you? Seduce you.
You have a guy who loves you and takes care of you?
Yeah, I have someone.
I didn't pay you for a conversation.
You know, we gotta be the most passionate couple ever.
I know.
And I adore you, darling, I do. But I implore you.
Do you love me?
Of course.
Oh, Miles, you remember our prom, don't you?
Yes.
This is a very special night for you, isn't it?
Tonight is the night that I'm going to lose it to you.
have something for you, you big dog.
Wow. Yes, all manner of dogs.
In 1953, private investigator Will Lucky Marks was working as the in-house private eye for Arcane Pacific Pictures when famed director Alistair Walters was brutally stabbed to death on the scene of his last blockbuster. Lucky must sort through stereotypes and challenge common perceptions as well as his own prejudices in order to sort through gossip, innuendo, and intrigue to find the killer before time runs out. This murder mystery will pit Lucky against some of the most deceitful creatures on Earth, movie stars. Get Lot 28 today.
Welcome back to Hanging with the Authors. We're hanging with Abigail Lee Justice, a romance author, erotic romance author who deals with a lot of BDSM issues in the Heart series. There are 2 books, Bound by the Master and Second Chances. We were talking a little bit earlier about the fundamental premise to Bound by her master, and talked a little bit about how long you've been writing and your cookbooks, and then kind of the swing over, like you said, from poetry into cookbooks and then into erotic romance. What motivates you to write? What makes you want to sit down and start banging out on the keys?
Well, I think I'm definitely a pantser. I am not a plotter. And if people don't know what the difference is, plotters are actually, they look at a timeline, they set everything out, they take little Post-its and they put them on clipboards and they, okay, plot 1, I'm going to have my character come in. Plot 2, something tragic's going to happen. Plot 3 is going to take, more of a twist and a turn. I'm not like that. I am a pantser. I write what I feel when I'm writing. How I'm feeling that day is how I write. If I'm happy, if I'm sad, if I'm emotional, I write that way with my characters. I figure my characters are real to me, and that's the way that I write. And if my dog jumps in the screen here, her name is Bailey. She's trying to get the camera from us. So I apologize. But
hi, Bailey.
She's generally not a dog that likes cameras, but I think today she is.
Okay,
so to get back to my books, the reason why I write that way is because I like writing that way. And some of my different classes that I've gone through say write the best way that you know how. And if that is being a pantser and doing at the seat of your pants type of writing, then that's the way that I write.
Now, do you generally, even though you don't really sort of plot it out, do you have a general idea of maybe where you want these characters to go? Or as you're kind of flying by the seat of your pants, you develop a character and obviously it takes on a life of its own. Do you kind of follow your characters, or do they have a point that you're going to make them get to?
All of my characters have a general problem, a tragic issue that they're dealing with, whether it be death, whether it be being raped, whether it being abandoned as a child. I already have those clues in my head. What I work out while I'm writing is how they accomplish and get over that goal of being so, into themselves and depressed and not being with the real world. I do a lot of research with, since I am in the medical field, I'm very fortunate to be able to look up a lot of different diseases and disease processes and things like that. So I do have the general background of being able to do that. And then I write in, the love part of it, the happiness part of it. And I get that from going to the different clubs that, I'm very fortunate to live in a community that have, several BDSM clubs in my own hometown. So I'm really, really fortunate to have them in my background that I can go there, watch different scenes, and then write about them. So most of the things that I write about are true. They're things that actually happen in a club. They're people, they're real life people going through the emotions and the different feelings of having different impacts done to them. So my characters do have that in the book.
That's probably the best kind of research you can do is to immerse yourself somewhere and watch. Watch.
Yes,
so
I'm a huge voyeur when it comes to a lot of this. I'm a huge voyeur.
That is great. That really is great. Now I know that you're married, and
yes, I am.
You have two grown sons.
Yes.
And so what do they think of Mom's work? Do they read? Do they read
it? They do. Actually, my oldest son is very supportive. On his Facebook page, he just sat there. My mom's an author. Read her stuff. My younger one is a little bit more, shy, and he sees the stuff sitting around the house. He sees the books coming in, and he looks at the covers, and he's just like, "Oh, keep that to yourself, Mom." But yes, my family is very, very supportive. Both sides of our family. My in-laws have huge, she's looked over the books, whether they've read them or not, but they both sets of the families have been given copies of all my books. From the beginning of the cookbook to the recent release of Second Chances. Both families, I put them in little wrappings, and I said that these were presents from me, and if you chose to read them, great. If you chose to read them in the wrappers, that's fine too. But I know both mothers and mother-in-law both have read them.
Now, are you working on anything special right now?
I actually am. I'm getting ready to have another release come out, probably the end of September. It's a spin-off series. This series of the Heart series is not done. Okay. It will have 3 more books to it. The next installment will actually be coming out around December, around Christmas time, where you'll find out what really happens to my characters. Okay. And the title of the book is Always and Forever. You'll also be introduced to 2 other characters in the book, and that's where the takeoff goes, and that's where the next series will be coming from. The next series will actually be, it's called The Doms of Crave County. It is not a county in my hometown. Most people that have read my books have said, you write about your own hometown. And it's like, yes, you can actually go to the, the stores and things like that I've written about. In the next series, that's not true. The town is totally made up, but it is a spin-off of this series that will have multiple books in it.
I understand you have a couple of appearances coming up here in the near future. You're going to be at the Baltimore Book Festival, if I'm right. It's September 25th and 25th through 27th. And you will be at the Sexy and Sassy signing in Greenville, North Carolina, October 24th. If
that is correct.
Okay.
And then I also have just lined up Rebels and Readers. That will be in November in Huntington, West Virginia. Awesome. And if anybody wants a huge shout out, I just did an indie with their indie book box. I was the featured author of the month for erotica. And Authors in the City for next year in Kissimmee, Florida. Sweet and Sassy Summer Spectacular in Preston, Kentucky.
Wow, she's making the rounds, folks. So don't forget to get her.
Again
we're going to take one more. We're going to take one more short break, and then we'll be right back, and we'll wrap it up here. Hanging with Abigail Lee Justice on Hanging with the Authors. So tune in just a few moments, and we'll be right back.
I think there's something that we all have in common. Something primal. Everyone wants to be seduced.
All we need is one night and an appetite.
I'm just saying it's natural. Take away social etiquette, it's just we seduce to survive. And I bet if you could spy in any room here right now, you see a seduction of some sort going down in everyone.
I promise, I'll be a perfect gentleman.
Are you trying to imply that I am questioning my sexuality?
Aren't we all?
Women want a whole lot more than just to be seduced and then screwed and discarded by some chauvinistic douchebag with non-committal issues.
Don't you want to be with a guy who just wants to please you? Seduce you? You have a guy who loves you and takes care of you?
Yeah, I have someone.
I didn't pay you for a conversation.
You know we gotta be the most passionate couple ever.
I know.
And I adore you.
love me?
Of course.
Oh, Miles, you remember our prom, don't you?
Yes.
This is a very special night for you, isn't it?
Tonight is the night that I'm going to lose it to you.
I have something for you, you big dog.
Wow.
Yes, yes. All men are dogs.
The Submit to Darkness series by indie author A.J. Spencer is now complete. This dark and twisted erotic thriller spans 3 books and follows FBI profiler Natasha Stolt as she hunts the serial killer known as Grimm. Will you become as obsessed with her prey as she does?
Welcome back to Hanging with the Authors. I'm GW Pomichter, and we are hanging with author Abigail Lee Justice, erotic romance author of the Heart series. That's 2 books right now, Bound by Her Master and The Second Chances, and a 3rd book on the way. Abigail, what was the title of that book to look out for again?
Always and Forever.
Always and Forever, coming in, it's expected late this year. Yes.
Yes, around Christmas time is when we're estimating the published date will be, is around Christmas time.
Fantastic. Now, we're also looking at Abigail's calendar, so we're going to tell you where you can see Abigail in person, get a signature, check out these books, and you can do that. We said already she's going to be at the Baltimore Book Festival, September 25th through 27th. Sexy and Sassy signing in Greenville, North Carolina on October 24th, and she's got a bunch more, so grab your calendars and start writing, folks. Come on, this is where you can see Abigail Lee Justice.
Rebels and Readers in Huntington, West Virginia, November 7th and 8th. Authors in the City, Kissimmee, Florida, on March the 11th, 2016. Sweet and Sassy Summer Spectacular in Prestonburg, Kentucky. Sexy and Sassy signing in West Virginia. And Authors in the Stand, Daytona Beach, Florida. That will be in August 26th. And Boardwalk Empire signing in Atlantic City on June 1st. And then again, to probably round out the year, will be IBF in October, which this year was a spectacular 4-day event.
It was a great time. We launched Hanging with the Authors right there at IBF, and it was a great time. And if anybody wants to know, more authors are coming, and we are set also on September 25th through 27th. We're going to be over at the Speculative Fiction Southeast Conference at the Sheridan Orlando North in Maitland. And so we're going to be hanging with some sci-fi and fantasy and speculative fiction authors, and that'll be a lot of fun too. And now, Abigail, where else can we find you? I know we can find you on Facebook.
Yes, I have a Facebook page, Abigail Lee Justice. You can find me there. I also write under the name of Abigail Lee, and I do that for personal reasons. So if you want to look for a different type of romance, it'll be under that. I write a menage series that will be under that name. I also have a website, which is abigailleejustice.com. Everything that I'm going to be doing for the next year will be on there, along with upcoming books, upcoming giveaways and things like that. And you can also just find me at any different book signings or any local dungeon.
That's right. And online bookstores everywhere. You can get Abigail's stuff. We looked her up a little bit before the show. You can get her books in iBooks in the iTunes store. You can get them on Amazon.com. And
you can get them at Barnes and Nobles.
Barnes and Nobles. Okay. So
and I will be having a signing at Barnes and Nobles in my hometown, which is just about 5 minutes from my house, which will probably be November.
See, I can't go to a signing at the local bookstore because then I'm shopping and I do everything except sign books. So, but yeah, Abigail, it's been great talking to you. Thank you so much for coming out and hanging out with us today. And we're working out of the technical kinks, so we hope the interview comes out good on the web. If you want to catch this interview online sometime by Saturday, I think. Saturday, 4 o'clock is when we're planning on putting all of our videos out. You can catch it on YouTube at Garrett Pomichter channel, Hanging with the Authors. or you can catch it in podcast in the iTunes store, Hangin' With the Authors. And we are hanging today with Abigail Lee Justice, erotic romance author of the Heart series. And thank you, Abigail, so much for coming out and hanging with us tonight.
Thank you so much, Derek, for having me, and I really enjoyed it.
You're very welcome, and thank you very much. Goodbye, everybody. Have a great week, and come back next week and hang with more authors. Bye-bye.